Hey there, and welcome to the Unleash Your Greatness Within podcast. I hope that this episode finds you doing fantastic, doing well, that you're living your dreams and so forth, given the difficulty at this time with the COVID-19 pandemic. I hope that you're healthy, you're strong, you're making do, but I also hope that you're being flexible and that you're still believing in possibilities and then having the ambition and the energy to go make dreams and ideas come true. So I'm really excited to share this message with you. I just so happened was going through my shipping room department, what have you, and I found an old tape from 20 years ago. Can you hear that? 20 years ago, 2001. This is 4 years before I wrote If You Think You Can. And I did a little promo message for a seminar I had at the time called The Power to Shape Your Life. And you know what? I just put it in an old tape recorder as I was waiting for my daughter at cross country, Kyla. I was listening to it, and it was about 20-something minutes long. And you know what? I was inspired by the message. I mean, despite the fact that it was me 20 years ago and listening to my own voice, the message itself, I just felt was rich and would be useful to share on this podcast. So it's going to take you back a few years, but I think it'll be inspirational to you. And I thought it'd be meaningful to you just in terms of increasing the believability that you have greatness within and that there's things that you can do to still become the victor over your circumstances. And so I thought I would share it here. All right? Hey, just enjoy it. And by the way, if you wouldn't mind, hey, leave a star rating for my podcast. I would really appreciate it. And make sure you share it with your friends and so forth, your colleagues and so forth. I'd really appreciate it. And also make sure you listen to the end because I have a little special offer at the end if you're interested. All right? I wish you the best. Here you go.
You already know. My passion and my mission to help you unleash your greatness within. My heart goes out to the underdogs that's on their way. If you think you can go from good to great, okay, let's motivate. GreatnessWithin.com. TJ Hoisington. GreatnessWithin.com.
Hi, this is TJ Hoisington. Listen, I just wanted to take a few moments to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to spend a few minutes listening to this tape. And my goal here today is hopefully to connect with you and remind you of what is possible for you in your life and in your business. And although we're not together physically, I hope that I have found you at the best of circumstances. And if you are not, know that you are not stuck with where you are. Know that there are things that you can do that you can instantly transform where you are today with where you want to be tomorrow. You can literally transform. You can literally make the shift. You can literally get to that next level. And I extend an invitation for you to take your life to the next level and to be able to experience complete fulfillment that life has to offer. And I'll tell you right now that it all begins with a simple decision. See, wherever you are right now, there's a reason for it. You just didn't end up there. You had to make a series of certain decisions and a series of certain actions to end up where you are today. And if you're not happy with where you are, you can change it. You can do something about it. See, I believe that every human being is innately unstoppable, that there's an unstoppable power that's within every single person on this planet. And if they will learn how to tap that power, that you can achieve anything you could possibly imagine. See, when I've had the opportunity of studying some great people like the Warren Buffetts, people like the Mother Teresas, the Steven Spielbergs, the Oprahs, I realize that they really are no different than you and I. And I know that sounds crazy, and I know that probably even sounds a little hard to believe. They really are no different than us. The main thing, the number one thing that's different between us is maybe a few distinctions. That's it. A few distinctions that separate the high achievers from the low achievers. And the neat thing is that you can duplicate these same distinctions that they live by and duplicate them and model them and bring them into your own life and produce the same results. My belief is that if someone else can do it, you can do it. But few people take the time out to discover what the distinctions are. And it's been my focus. And this is an area where I feel I have some expertise in, and I have tools to help people develop those distinctions, condition them into their lifestyles, and live by them, and help them achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve. If we can pick up their distinctions, if we can pick up the patterns that have led them to where they are and to the results that they're achieving now, and we duplicate those patterns, we can produce the same result. And fortunately, I've seen this over and over in a variety of businesses and with people that I've worked with. I worked with one man a couple years ago who was making $30,000 a year. He was discouraged. He was frustrated. We helped him realize maybe some of the things that were holding him back from achieving more than $30,000 because he had a desire to make more than $30,000. We found that about 6 levels deep was a belief that said, I can see how other people can do it, but I can't do it. And once we were able to replace that belief with a more empowering belief, he was able to do that. And last year he called me and said, guess what? I just made last year $380,000. From $30,000 in 1 year to $380,000 the next year. And not that money is the most important thing to you or I, but it is a great measurement. It's a great tool to look at, to see where someone was to where they are now. One of the things that I learned from my first teacher, Jim Rohn, was if you want your life to be better, you must become better. And then he goes on to say, seldom does income or achievement exceed personal development. You must work on yourself. You must develop your own value. And then you will start attracting the results that you want in your life. A few months ago, I was speaking to a group out in New York, and as I was speaking with them, after the meeting was over, I wandered off into the hallway, and about 50 people followed me out and started asking me questions, and they started to share with me the obstacles that were in their lives, and they started to share with me what was holding them back and some of the issues that they were struggling with. And every issue, every story was essentially the same. And as I've traveled from New York all the way to Seattle, I have found that the story doesn't change very much. The bottom of the story is that they have fears that hold them back from achieving the level that they have the potential to achieve. As I work with people from all types of industries, I find that typically the number one obstacle that holds us back, you and I back from achieving what we have the ability and potential to achieve is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of what people will think. Fear paralyzes us. And so what most people have a tendency to do is to ignore the fear, hoping that it will go away. Or they'll develop more and more and more skill, hoping that the fear will go away. And neither one will help the fear go away, because fear is an enemy of its own. It's driven by your beliefs. And unless you change the root, unless you get to the base of it, the root, the foundation, that fear will still exist in one form or another. So for nearly a decade, I've made it my focus to help people figure out what's holding them back, and then to give them the tools to eliminate the fears, eliminate the beliefs, and help them transform where they are to where they want and help them get wherever they want to go. Because what is it that we're really after anyway? What is it that we really want to experience in our life? Obviously, it's not fear. Obviously, it's not pain. We want to feel emotions, good emotions. Emotions such as love, happiness, freedom, fulfillment, confidence. Feelings that make you feel good, feelings that make you feel better. As you look back over the last week, and you look at some of the feelings that you have felt on a consistent basis, whether it's stress, whether it's happiness, whether it's fulfillment, whether it's frustration, as you look at the last week, and you look at the emotions that you probably felt the most, whatever feeling you felt the most is unfortunately or fortunately your life. Because really that's all we're after is feelings. Everything we do, from eating food to going to movies, to doing things, is for the result that we believe those activities will give us in emotion, the feelings that they will give us. And what amazes me is with all the power that we have within us, that so many people find it so difficult to be happy, to find fulfillment on a consistent basis. Why is it difficult to achieve the things that we desire? And if we will just realize this power that we have within us, eliminate any beliefs that could be holding us back, and then aligning everything that we want to move toward, that we could accomplish anything imaginable. And I'll tell you, remind you again that the biggest difference is just a few distinctions. There's only a few distinctions that separate the great achievers from the low achievers. And without even knowing you, I do know this, that you are not that far off from achieving greatness. Because greatness isn't something that's out there. Greatness is something that you attract by the person that you have become. It's right at your fingertips. But you may say, TJ, if you only knew my circumstances, if you only knew my past, then you wouldn't say that. And I am saying that. I'm saying by picking up a few distinctions regardless of your past, by shifting a few beliefs regardless of your past, that you can immediately enhance the quality of your life, regardless of your age or situation. In fact, age means very little to me. Age is often an excuse. I hear people say, well, I'm too old, or I'm too young, or the timing isn't right. There's a season for all things. And so what happens throughout our lives is one minute we believe that we're too young, and then the next minute we wake up and we believe we're too old, and we find that we have given up a good 30, 40 years of our lives making excuses for why we're not accomplishing what we really want to accomplish. One of the things that I struggled with as a young man, I remember visiting with many adults. I always felt like I connected with adults better than I did kids my age. And I remember at 15 and 16 engaging in conversations. And I remember hearing the complaining that many adults were making about their current careers and about their current lifestyles and how they wish they could change, but they're stuck with where they are. They're too old. They have too many responsibilities. And day after day, they live in this unfulfilling lifestyle. And I thought to myself at a young age, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be saying about my life that I'm unhappy, but there's nothing I can do about it. Because there is something you can do about it. And so me, in my own naive way, I would respond to these adults and say, why don't you change then? And they would look at me like, when you grow up, you'll understand. And one day I did grow up, and I could have chosen to understand and show empathy. But I decided that I wasn't going to get caught up in that rut. But as I got older, unfortunately, I slowly did get caught up in that mindset. And I knew for 10 years what I wanted to do with my life. And I made 10 years of excuses of why I couldn't do it. Until one day I shifted the foundational roots, the base of my belief system, and decided that I can do something with my life. And I went from being the victim to being the victor. And you can do the same. You're not limited by where you are today. You can change your life. You can do something different. I found that people were making a living instead of designing a life. And we just happen to get caught up. We start lowering our standards. We start making concessions. Maybe we tried once or twice and things didn't work out, so we thought, I can't do that. It'll never work for me. And we lower our standards hoping that we feel good. And the reason we lower our standards is because we don't want to experience any pain anymore. And we convince ourselves that by lowering our standards that we'll be happy. And we say, why even try? And we try to feel content with these lowered standards. And then we find as we go through life that we're still unfulfilled. See, I don't believe happiness comes from lowering your standards to your circumstances, but rather by raising your standards and going beyond your circumstances. See, we get comfortable and we stop growing, and that's when we stop feeling fulfilled. Man, I know this firsthand, because at one point in my life, at an early age, I was making a great income. Things were going great for me. My relationships were wonderful, yet deep down, when I was honest with myself, I really wasn't happy. And part of it was because I wasn't growing, and I wasn't doing what I knew I was supposed to be doing. That there was a piece in me that knew there was a dream to be fulfilled, yet I was making excuses why I was unable to do it. And I'm saying to you that age or circumstance doesn't matter. In fact, age has more to do with psychology than it does have to do with chronology. George Eliot said, "It is never too late to be what you might have been." It reminds me of Norman MacLean at the age of 73, who rejected the idea of going into a comfortable retirement, which would have been easy to do. He taught literature at the University of Chicago, and he, like everyone else, deserved, quote unquote, a nice retirement. But something was nagging him. All the years of teaching literature, he thought to himself, I wonder if I can write. I wonder if I can be a good writer. And he went to his cabin in Montana and he started writing, and he found that he had the fire. And within 2 years, his work was published, and it was called A River Runs Through It. Somebody once said, action is always possible in the direction of one's dreams. It's never too late to achieve. You're never too old to achieve what you always wanted to achieve. See, there is specialness within you. There's a special uniqueness that you have. There's specialness that you have brought in this universe that nobody else can use but you. You brought in that specialness. And that specialness is what makes you unique. Somebody once said that the richest lands in the world are cemeteries, because that's where poems are still unwritten, songs are still unsung, ideas that are still unexpressed, and dreams that are still made unmanifest. Maybe for you, it's to write a book. Maybe for you, it's to sing a song, and you're thinking, I'm not a singer. Maybe for you, it's to start your own business. Maybe for you, it's to write a poem, or to write, or to paint a picture. There's a piece within you that only you know exists, that special part of you. Warren Buffett said, what makes me different than other people is that I wake up every morning and I do what I love. In his book called Find Your Strengths, Marcus Buckingham points out that a study was done. It's called the Gallup study, where they've interviewed over 1 million high achievers over the last 50 years, managers, leaders of corporations, and they found that there's a consistent pattern for achieving greatness and finding fulfillment in our lives. Number one, they find their strongest threads. They find what they're good at. They find what comes easy to them and what gives them a sense of value. Their strongest threads, their strengths, they find what they are. Then, number two, they reinforce them with practice and learning. And number three, they carve out a role that draws upon these strengths every single day. And so bottom line is, what is your dream? What is it that you want to accomplish? What is it that makes you special? It's important, as I've studied people that have achieved greatness. Number one is they had a dream. They had a passion. They had an energy that wouldn't let up. You must find something that you're passionate about. You must find what gives you energy. When you look at Colonel Sanders, who was at the age of retirement, and he realized that he couldn't live on the Social Security check that he'd received in the mail. He says, I got to do something. He thought, what assets do I have? And he says, you know what? I only have one real asset. And he says, just an idea. It's a recipe. And he took it around. He took the recipe around hoping that people would use it. And then he would get a profit of the business that that recipe generated. And he was turned down 1,009 times before he got his first yes. See, most people wouldn't continue 1,009 times. Most people wouldn't continue 5 or 6 times. Once people are turned down, oftentimes once or twice, they hang the towel on the rack. Look at Walt Disney. He had this great idea of an amusement park, yet he was turned down 302 times. But he continued to go forward because he had a passion for what he's doing. He saw beyond the norm of the industry. He broke the rules, both of them do, and all great achievers break the rules. And so you almost need to become unreasonable, because it's the unreasonable people that are able to break through the paradigm and be able to produce the things and do the things that others won't do. Because see, the people that see things accurately, the people that see things as they are, always manage to find a way to point out why something won't work. But the high achievers, the optimists, they somehow are able to find why something will work, what the possibility is in actually doing something. Even when nobody else can see it with them, they continue to go forward. Optimists don't adapt to the environment. They don't adapt to the world. They adapt the world to them and to their reality. If you are not passionate about life, if you don't have energy on a consistent basis, you must find your purpose. You must find your dream, and then you must go after it. It is essential and necessary that you get your passion and your energy back, the same passion and energy that you had when you were a child. And one way to do that is to discover your purpose. Let's look at Walt Disney, for example. There's a story told of him on the day that he would die that there were a lot of reporters and people that morning that were trying to get into the room. And obviously the security guards would not let people get into the room. But finally, one reporter was persistent and he got in. And when he got in, he went over to Walt and he said, "I just want to ask you a few questions." And Walt, hardly having any energy left, gestured for him to lay down next to him because he was going to have to whisper to him because of the lack of energy. And so this reporter lay down on the bed next to Walt Disney, and as he was laying there, Walt, looking at the ceiling, started to describe in detail what Walt Disney World would look like, a park that wouldn't even be built for another 6 years. That is vision. That is passion, to be sharing your vision of the future while you are laying on your deathbed. I believe it's not only necessary for you and I to find our dreams and our purpose in life, it is absolutely crucial if we are going to live a life of passion and fulfillment. And then you must be consistent about going after your dream. You can't try it once or twice. You must have persistence without giving up, without lowering your standards. So as an overview to the Power to Shape Your Life event, it's about living the life that you deserve. It's about creating the life that you deserve. And I've designed this program to help you discover the power that's within you. This is a 1 full day experience, and it is different than any other event you have ever attended. I'll tell you up front that this is not the typical positive thinking seminar. This seminar is about transformation. It's about literally, in a matter of hours, taking your life to the next level. It's about making breakthroughs in your own belief system, in your own habits, in your own strategies. So really the first thing that we do at this seminar is you'll discover what you love, what excites you, and what you're passionate about. You'll discover what your strengths are. You'll discover what your values are and what you ultimately want. Then you're going to eliminate the fears or the beliefs that are holding you back, and also the patterns that are holding you back, the habits that are holding you back. You're going to literally go through a process, which is part of the breakthrough experience where you will make a shift in your own personal belief systems. And then you're going to learn success strategies for massive achievement. These are the distinctions that separate the low achievers from the high achievers. And then lastly, we will start developing a game plan that you will live by for the rest of your life. At this event, part of the breakthrough experience is that we use a metaphor where you will be given the opportunity, if you choose, you're not forced to, you're not pushed to do this, but if you choose to break through a 2-inch thick brick, and there is a technical reason why we do that, and we will explain that at the seminar, but it helps facilitate your own personal breakthrough. And part of the purpose of this metaphor is you will realize and think to yourself, if I can break through this, what other things can I do that I thought I couldn't do? So it really is the breakthrough experience where you will turn fear into confidence, unhappiness into euphoria, and frustration and stress into excitement. And the one suggestion that I have is that you come to this seminar with 1 or 2 things in mind that you want to change or do differently about your life, because you will walk out having made that shift. And so I promise you that your time and your money will be well worth it. See, 5 years from now, we are all going to arrive. The question is, where? And the other question is, do you want to go another 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, producing the same level of results and same level of income that you've produced the last 6 months, the last year, the last 5 years, or 10 years? And I'm sure that the answer is no. So come to the event. I personally invite you to take charge of your life forever. And just like the best in the world, we all need coaches. Just like the Michael Jordans, just like the Tiger Woods, just like the Samprases and the Andre Agassi's. We all need coaches that help us, because coaches help recognize things that we can't recognize about ourselves. Coaches help us get where we want to go faster than we could do on our own. I don't know what's going on in your community on the date that I'm coming into your area, but I am confident that nothing is going to be more important than attending this event. Why? Because it's about your life, the life that awaits your arrival. Don't miss out on this event that will change your life forever. I look forward to meeting you personally and helping you get to that next level. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest. And remember, you are unstoppable. We'll see you at the event.
Well, what'd you think? The Power to Shape Your Life seminar was a powerful seminar. I've often thought about redoing that at some point and really taking the things that I've learned in the last 20 years on top of what the seminar was back then. Oh, it would just be so powerful. But given the circumstances right now, here's my thought for you. If you would like some individual private coaching, hey, I'd love to coach you. I'd love to spend some time weekly or monthly. We could do it over Zoom or over the phone or whichever way works best. And I will help you get clearer about your dreams, your goals, help you maybe take you through some processes that will help you replace limiting beliefs with more empowering beliefs. And we will go through a series of things. By the way, we do, as part of my coaching, we do a 30-page assessment that tracks all 172 traits that every human beings have. I mean, every trait in the book in terms of like your tempo, your enthusiasm, your cause motivation factor, your analytical, your diplomatic score, your enforcement score, your warmth and empathy score. I mean, so every human being has 172 traits that can be measured. And as part of my coaching, we actually do some of this measurement so that you get a very keen understanding of who you are, what your strengths, what your weaknesses are, what your preferences are versus those things you tend to avoid, right? All that plays a role. And I tell you what, it's comprehensive. So if you're interested in receiving some one-on-one private coaching from me, hey, all you got to do is email me at info@greatnesswithin.com. Okay, info@greatnesswithin.com, and we can work out the details. All right, listen, I wish you the very best. Please leave a review for my podcast. And until we see each other again or you hear my voice again, I wish you the very best. Go out there and unleash your greatness within.